Hello, my name is Sarah Gerhardt. I'm the creator of air dice. Today I'm going to show you how to make air dice, and you will find a pattern for air dice in a book called The Rolling Zodiac by Sharon Finch. This is an example of the pattern that you will be able to copy and print off. You're going to want to print off this pattern on cardstock. You want 4 different colors of cardstock because you're going to be using one color for the houses, one color for the planets, one color for the zodiac signs, and one color for the aspects. So you will need 4 different colors of cardstock and print off your patterns on each of those pieces of cardstock. Materials that you're going to need to do this are a very good tacky glue. I recommend 301 by Beacon for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's easy on the hands. If you get it on your skin, it rolls off like rubber cement. It doesn't burn like hot glue can, and it doesn't stick permanently like super glue. It's very forgiving if you need to reposition your the tabs on your dice, so this is an excellent glue to use. Number 2, you need a fine point scissors, such as cutter bee. You want them to have a very sharp blade, and you want them to have a very fine point to get into the small corners of your air dice. And number 3, you're going to want a pair of tweezers. If you have a pair of tweezers at home, those are fine. However, I find that these craft tweezers that have a wider tip to them are excellent for folding down the tabs on the dice, and you'll see how well they work as we assemble our dice today. So let's get started. I printed my dice on a sheet of yellow cardstock, so this is what I'm going to use today. And the first thing that you want to do is cut out this pattern. Make sure that when you are cutting it out, that you cut very, very precisely on these lines. If you cut crooked, or you cut more than you should, then it's going to affect the assembly of your dice. So you want to make sure that you are cutting very precisely into the corners. Don't pull them out, but just cut them so that they'll fall out. Try not to bend. In other words, I don't want to take this and bend it. What I'm going to do is bring my scissors back out and cut into the line of the dice again. Make sure that as you are cutting along these lines, that you don't cut off your tabs. It's very important that you leave these little tabs on here. So as I'm cutting, I'm making sure that I very carefully cut on the lines of the dice and the lines of the tabs. Take your time so that you get a nice clean edge all the way around. Once you have your dice cut out, the next thing you want to do is fold on all of the lines, including the tabs. This is where your tweezers come in handy. You want to hold your hand on the line, your fingernail and your finger, to support cardstock. Then take your tweezer and bend down on the line. All right, move to the next tab and bend on the line. You also can bend the dice lines as well. We want all of these to be flexible so that they will fold and glue easily during the assembly stage. So fold your tabs, making sure you're right on the line. Once again, it's critical that you be as accurate as possible in folding on that line. If you fold crooked, that's going to affect the entire dice and make it crooked. So fold it. If it doesn't look right, refold it. But make sure that you are folding each of the tabs down. Fold it with the tweezer and then reinforce that fold by pushing it with your finger. All the little inside ones, those are the ones that are hard to do with your fingers, and your tweezers really come in handy for those. So make sure that you can fold all the edges. Then you can test it yourself. If you take all of that and start pushing them together, you will see that this starts looking like a little die. So let's get started in gluing it together. Lay your pattern out and find the Aries in the center and the Leo. These are the two we're going to start with. They are in the center of the die. We're going to glue the tab for the Aries to the Leo. So I take my glue. It doesn't need to be a lot, just a little dab. If you put too much on there, you're going to sit forever holding it, waiting for it to dry. It just needs to be a very tiny amount, and you push those two together, double checking to make sure that the lines line up like that. Okay? And allow that to dry. The next step is to take and glue the Virgo to the Aries. All right? So we've already got our Leo and our Aries glued together. So now we want to take and glue the Virgo to the Aries. So you're going to take, let's stop. You're going to take and glue your Virgo to the Aries. That's this tab to this die side right here. That will be the second place that we're going to put our glue. We've already done this first two together. The next two will be these. You place your glue on here and hold it in position. Once those two have dried, you want to take your Aries right here and glue that to your Gemini tab. All right, so we're going to put glue on the Gemini tab and glue it to the Aries. Hold those in place. Put your glue on here. Hold it in place. Won't take long for that to adhere if you put just a tiny bit on there. All right, now you can see our die is beginning to take form. The next thing we're going to do is glue the Cancer to the Gemini. So we'll put glue on the Gemini tab, and we fold over and attach the Cancer flap to the Gemini tab right here. Once again, hold it in place. If you notice, I've got my finger on the inside, securely holding on to the inside of the die, and then I have my thumb on the outside. I'm not just taking and pushing down. I don't want this to go flat. So I'm making sure that I'm pushing on the tabs and not on this part that's already been folded. Okay? Make sure that once again you've got those lined up as accurately as you can do that. All right, the next one that we want to glue is the, let's see, we want to glue the Aquarius to the Gemini. All right, we're going to put glue on the Gemini tab, and we're going to push the Aquarius flap down and hold it. Once again, I've got my finger holding onto the inside tab. I've got my thumb holding the outside until the glue adheres. We are gluing the Gemini tab to the Aquarius flap. All right, now we're going to take the Pisces flap and we're going to glue it to the Gemini tab. At the same time that we do that, notice we've got a tab here that will need to be inserted underneath the Libra flap. All right, so you will want to put glue on your Gemini tab and on your Pisces tab, but make sure that the Pisces tab goes underneath the Libra flap. Insert it in there. So you're actually going to be gluing two at the same time. All right, this is really going to make you see that your die is taking form. Now be careful here that you don't push too hard and cause that to cave in. Make sure that you hold it in place until that glue takes effect. This is a good time to use your tweezers if you need to grab hold of the inside and give it extra support. This is the time your tweezers come in very handy to do that. Sometimes our fingers are a little too fat to fit inside that die. So the tweezers will work. Make sure the tab, one tab goes in and the other one on the flap is on top of the tab. The other one, the tab is inserted inward. All right, now we're going to glue two. We're going to take our Libra and we're going to glue it to the Cancer, and our Libra, we're going to glue it to the Aquarius tab. Two tabs here. We're going to put glue on both of those and fold this over. Again, making sure that we don't have them crooked and that we get them lined up as close as possible. This is where you're going to need to use your thumb to support one side and your finger to support the other side. It's also a good time to use your tweezers. And make sure you have that lined up really good. Hold it in place and allow that glue to become tacky. If it looks like you don't have it right, this is your time to reposition it. That glue is forgiving and you can pull it up and reposition it. All right, now we're going to take our Sagittarius flap, all right, and we're going to glue it to the Virgo. Here's the Sagittarius flapper. We've got one that we're going to glue into the Virgo. We're also going to glue it into the Libra. These two tabs have to be inserted, all right? This time we're not putting our flaps are not bending on top. We're actually taking this and inserting it. So you're going to put your glue on this tab and your glue on this, on the two sides of your Sagittarius flap, and insert so that that sticks. Once again, this is a great time to use those tweezers to hold that flap in place so that those two flaps can stick. Again, the glue goes on the two sides of your Sagittarius flap, and those two are inserted in underneath the Virgo flap and the Libra flap, right in there. Make sure it doesn't sink in by using your tweezers to hold it in place. Okay, now we're getting down to the home front here. We have we have three tabs we're going to put the glue on. Our Aquarius, our Sagittarius, and our Pisces tabs are all going to get glue on them. And then we're going to fold over the Capricorn flap to those three. Again, this is a great time to use your tweezers. If you feel uncomfortable doing this, I think it's good to try to get all three of them done at one time. But if you feel better, more comfortable doing one or two of them and then going back and putting the glue on the third one, you can do that. Sometimes first time around it gets a little awkward, but you want to make sure that you get those lined up, all three of them lined up, and so that that die doesn't cave in. So your glue is going to go on these 3 tabs: Aquarius, Sagittarius, and Pisces. And then the Capricorn tab flap goes over those, onto those tabs. Hold it in place until the glue dries. Finally, we've got 3 tabs left, all right, for the Scorpio, no, for the Sagittarius, the Pisces, Taurus, and Scorpio. We
video maybe, or did you start?
Here we go. Here we go. And finally, you want to add glue to the last remaining flaps, which are Sagittarius, Pisces, Taurus, and the Scorpio tab of this flap. Press down all of those, making sure they line up, and inserting that tab inside. That's the Scorpio tab that's being inserted to glue into the Leo flap right here. Line those up, making sure that they all line up securely. Now, if you find that your dice are sinking in certain places, if your tweezers are too thick to get in there, which often they are at this point, you can take your scissors and go into the edge and gently lift that up. Be very patient and hold that in place while that dries, but that will help hold that dice up so that the dice remain level all the way around. So just take your scissors, stick it in there, and hold that in place until it dries. Now, once you have all of the dice glued together, your dice looks like this. Now, take your finger, run it along the edges. If you find any places where you feel a bump or it's not quite level, your finger kind of scrapes on it, take your scissors and trim just a little bit to make that level. Trim it off just a little. Remember, less is more. You can always go back and trim a little more off, but do it a tiny bit at a time wherever it feels like it's not smooth. You want to run your finger on there and have a nice smooth transition. You don't want to have it skip anywhere. Just make it nice and smooth. Then that way your dice is going to roll smoothly. Alright, it won't stop and get caught anywhere. So just very, very slowly. You can see here, these are tiny, tiny shreds of paper that I'm trimming off. And just that little bit can make all the difference in the world. Once you've trimmed it off and all your edges are smooth, you are ready to roll. Alright, so you've got all of your dice, put them together along with your aspect, and have fun rolling your dice. Now I suggest that you keep your dice in something like a can. A Pringles can works really good. Not only is it a good place to store your dice, but it is also, it helps keep them dry, and it's a great shaker device, so that when somebody rolls your dice out, it's a great way to shake them around. Okay, so you can use the can as a roller, as a container to store. Now, we just demonstrated one dice today. That is the
Sign.
the one with the plan. Pause. Boom. Okay. When we started with our dice, we started with gluing the Aries flap tab to the Leo flap. That's the same sequence you want to do with all the other dice. So you're going to glue the Sun tab to the Pluto flap and follow the same sequence of directions. Same way with the houses. You're going to start with the number 5 house tab and glue it to the 7 flap. All of these are shaped the same. They follow the same sequence to get to this end result. Alright, if you forget any of these steps, we have them printed out. Same sequence that we followed in this video, plus the tips for you to print out and follow. So have fun with your dice. Roll them. Do readings for yourself. Do readings for your friends and family, and enjoy. Thank you.